And Mark, once you do that, would you look at your chat?
Okay. Nothing new that I'm aware of. Nothing new. There we go. Hello, YouTube.
Get on, Mark.
There we go. Wow, this group is quiet. I can't believe it. Holy cow.
We can fix that.
Yeah, I didn't see you there. You're supposed to be working on that Morse code. What do you have that mic on for?
Right here.
You need trash can for me?
Oh, okay. Thank you. I've been trying to get Hank to work on his CW, learn how to do it.
That's after I finish learning how to speak Portuguese.
CW is a lot easier. A lot easier.
Hey, Sam, did you ever work with David Ball up at Logan County?
Oh yeah. Yeah, actually
What?
And his cousin worked at Francis Tuttle with me for many, many years. He was our maintenance head. So
Do you know that he's not at Logan County anymore?
no.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't visited privately with him, but apparently the political winds up there changed, and he left here a couple of weeks ago. He's going to be a planner at the state.
Well, the state wins and Logan
Yes,
County
they do.
loses. But,
That's exactly correct.
you know, he was a great president of Coima and just seemed on top of everything up there in Logan County. But you know,
He certainly did a good job for those folks up there.
Yep.
Like I said, I don't know what happened up there, but he said I could feel it coming, so he started looking elsewhere.
well, when you do chat with him, tell him I said hello.
I'll do that.
But yeah, it's weird. I was just thinking about him the other day. I saw the Canadian County emergency manager go by in his car, and I don't know why it brought up David. Just wondered how he was doing. I actually wonder how all you guys, except for you and a few that I see in other places. I just miss everybody. It was a great group.
But we don't get to meet, and actually,
Come on, Lee.
I would bet you could still get on the Coema Zoom and see everybody. It'll be Thursday morning.
Oh, really?
If you don't have the link, I'll get Debbie to send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of walked away from the whole thing. Just said, "Hey, I'm done."
Well, yeah, but I'm thinking it would be a good way to at least kind of see some of them. So I won't be on. I'll be up in Kansas Thursday, but
Sounds good.
Where's that coming from?
What?
That high frequency.
It's probably the computer.
Good morning.
Guten Morgen.
Well,
Morning,
good
Davey.
morning.
Hear that high frequency?
Good stuff. This thing sometimes, it's got a fan under here. It comes on and off.
I'm gonna grab some more coffee.
We'll bring some for everybody
exactly.
and donuts.
Yeah, I'm not a big coffee guy though. That's the problem.
Disappeared into the
Got my
vortex there.
Being brought over fresh donuts for me this morning, so that was
wow.
not.
That was nice.
It really was.
Gotta have a good cup of battery acid early in the morning.
Somehow I think this is what Rick's problem at the office is.
Yeah.
I was just going to tell Rick to keep that stuff out where it's at.
Well,
No kidding.
I was going to tell him that's a way to make a presentation, man.
Yeah. They need to keep it away.
Yeah.
You know, last night that storm kind of came up through Piedmont up here, and I was kind of thinking, wonder if I should unhook my antenna, and all of a sudden this lightning crack, boom, shook the whole house, and I thought, that's crazy. And then nothing. And so then I turn on the TV, and I was on Channel 5, I guess. Anyway, he says, yeah, we've only had one lightning strike, and that was right over Piedmont. I know that. Never did unhook the antenna. So
That's what you call too little, too late.
yeah, if it had been me, it would have been too little or too late.
Need to move this a little bit to the center. Yeah, you go.
Well, I can't see you yet.
No, that's all right.
Hank's got a face for radio is what he's telling you, Lou. Well, hello. Look at all the crowd showing up. Hello, gang.
Hey, I like that shirt. Keep calm and eat bacon.
Well, they just canceled a dense fog for Norman, so
Oh,
bummer. No fog. We were all wanting it. No, maybe not.
You'll make a foggy situation.
There you go.
Ours have been working overtime out in the shop.
Hey, Mark, did you like the discussion on the problems I've been having at work?
Oh man, I only thought I had troubles, and then you involved me, and I thought, okay, I'm glad to be me, not Galen. Did you guys figure anything out? I think you found 5 solutions since I've been involved, and you still have a problem.
Oh yeah, they haven't found it yet. It's been bounced up to Motorola Tier 2 support now. So, but yeah, we still have the tower out at my water tower is still offline, and we took it offline, which forces all of our subscriber units to go somewhere else, and then we kind of tried to backfill the portable coverage, at least locally, particularly around the police station, by patching to an 8-tech.
So it's still getting data, but no voice through that system?
Oh, it'll get voice, but it'll drop about, I don't know. It depends on the day and the time. A week ago today, I got a call, in fact, about now, that said they were getting about 1/3 of the traffic through on the first try. That's not good if somebody's shooting at you.
No.
Nope.
No.
Definitely not cool.
Yeah. That brings new meetings to the word Russian roulette.
You're reaching for that emergency button.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark,
Yes,
that page is updated.
Thank you. That's a loud donut. I don't know who had that, but that is not a crunch. That is a crunchy.
Crispy
That's a donut with bacon on it.
Oh, yeah.
Hush, I'm muted.
Oh, was that you, Peter?
Well, I'm not saying anything.
Doing it on purpose to tease us.
Mark, the only good thing of all this deal with mine was that last Saturday evening, I had our chiefs come up on a Zoom so we could discuss the various options, and I wanted to make sure they were okay with me taking the tower down. And it dawned on me later that I was doing it right here where I'm at now, and So the chief's probably got to see my go kit and all of my stuff. Nobody's commented on it yet, but it'll be interesting to see if I get any.
I'm sure it's one of those. Wait, we've been to Galen's 2 offices. Where's he got that stuff hidden in the building?
Yeah.
You think they have a clue about what it is?
Oh, I'm sure it's got to be a setting somewhere. It's, it's not a hardware issue. So, unfortunately, they've decided it's not in the microwave path. The initial thought a week ago was that it was
Didn't need a battery.
the height of Trash Mountain
Use a battery.
increasing to the point where it's getting into the bottom of the microwave link, but it's not. The microwave's fine. So, well, the clock behind me says 9:29. The clock on my computer says 9:32. Well, I'm going to split the difference, and let's call this meeting to order of the South Canadian Amateur Radio Society. It's March 13th, and it looks like we've got a good crowd. We've got 2 pages on Zoom, and I would assume that there's a few at least on YouTube watching and participating.
Yep.
And welcome everybody. It's good to see everybody. It's good to see some of your projects in the background, or you wish your projects in the background, depending on it. I don't see anybody that has their dogs or cats with them today. That's always fun too.
Denny's pointing down.
Yeah.
I assume he has pants on, but I don't know.
Don't assume anything.
Can't confirm or deny that.
Just remember, there is such a thing as too much information, even in the
Absolutely.
EMI.
Do we have Rick back with us yet? Oh, there's Rick.
Yep.
So let's see. Wayne, do you want to introduce our program today? Normally we go through introductions, but that's kind of hard to do with the Zoom. Everybody, if you look at the gallery view, you can see everybody on that has cameras on, and hopefully wave at the YouTube folks. Oops, wrong hand. And but anyway, Wayne, if you want to introduce our program today, we'll get right into it.
Okay, thank you, Galen. We appreciate everybody who joined us today.
Richard.
What?
Just want to start out by asking everybody to please, unless you're speaking, mute your microphones. Everybody, please mute your microphones unless you're speaking, so we don't interrupt the presentation. And with that, I'll introduce Rick Smith, who is the Warning Coordination Meteorologist. Correct me if I'm wrong, Rick. And he's got a lot of good with the National Weather Service. He's got some good stuff to tell us about. So, Rick, you have the con.
All right. Good morning. Thanks everybody for being here. Thanks for having me. I hope I have some good stuff for you. We'll see how it goes here at the end. But I'm always glad to have an opportunity with these days in the pandemic to have an excuse to put a shirt on with a collar. So that's nice. I haven't been at the office in a long time, so it's nice to be here. So I'm going to try to share my screen here, and if somebody can let me know if you see it. Do you see that?
Just like doing audio checks on the Monday briefings.
There we go. Do you see the title slide there?
Yes,
you're up.
All right. I'm gonna push through here. I've got a kind of a roundup of topics. As a lot of times when I do these talks, there's just several things to talk about. I do want to allow some time at the end for questions because I'm not going to be able to cover everything everybody's interested in. So I'll try to leave enough time at the end for questions. I guess it's hard to handle questions during the session here. So if you've got questions as we go along, hang on to them, and we'll either stop from time to time and ask for questions, or just do them all at the end. So let me jump right into it. Got several things to talk about here this morning. First of all, just the weather going on today. We do have a severe weather risk in the area. Now I think this is the latest outlook from 7 o'clock this morning. Really, the threat today is focused out in the Texas Panhandle, far western Oklahoma. I don't know if that's cut off on the edge of the screen over there, but the metro area is in a marginal risk. just communicating with the office, it looks like the trends are for things to be later and later and continuing to be weaker for the metro area. So I think any weather that we might have here would be after midnight and probably not be too big of a deal. The real impacts are going to be with supercells this afternoon that develop, and within the first several hours after they develop, there's lots of wind shear and ingredients present out there east of Amarillo over to the Texas-Oklahoma border, for maybe even some stronger tornadoes today. So there was at least a couple of tornadoes out there north of Lubbock yesterday, and today the ingredients are even more favorable for that. So we'll be watching out there. Of course, our area of responsibility goes all the way out to that border, so we'll be watching that. I think we issued a few warnings yesterday. Nothing substantial, but that's the outlook for the metro area. Kind of way out west today, and not that much for us tonight, which I'll certainly take it. All right, I want to talk a little bit about what we're doing, what we typically do with severe weather operations. Just kind of start off, Doug Spieger, who's our resident tornado historian and expert and keeper of all the trivia of tornadoes, recently went through a pretty huge project of doing county-based tornado track maps based on all the tracks that we have for all 56 of our counties. So now if you go to our tornado database page and look for Cleveland County, you can get this map, and I grabbed it off of there yesterday, but there's one for every county. Now this is every known tornado. This is certainly not every tornado that we've seen, and you can see where Galen lives up there plainly. But you know, I think if we had this is my stock answer to everybody that says, you know, why does Moore get all the tornadoes? You know, everybody gets tornadoes. I think if we had a complete picture, if we knew of every single tornado that happened, I think you would see fewer clusters on this map. There's no reason that's no scientific reason that's happening up there. But anyway, I just thought this might be interesting to look at. We are going to be improving the way that we document tornadoes in the future. Very few tornadoes travel in straight lines like some of these are. So we're going to be able to actually save and document those actual tornado tracks much easier into that official database. So anyway, this is out there if you want to take a closer look at it, see where your house is, where you stack up with everybody else there. Just some other trivia. The last time that there was an EF4 in the state of Oklahoma was May 19th, 2013, and that was in Cleveland County. And the last EF5 we had, not only in Oklahoma, but anywhere in the United States, was May 20th. 2013. I'm not going to talk much more about that. Don't want to jinx anything, but that's the last tornado, last EF5 tornado we had anywhere in the United States was the Newcastle, Moore, Oklahoma City tornado back on May 20th.
And just for record, that EF4 was not in Moore.
It was not in Moore. You missed out on that one somehow, but no, that was East Norman and over toward Bethel Acres and Shawnee in that area. But yeah, thanks for pointing that out. All right. I kind of wanted to look at the average number of watches and warnings. Last year was kind of a quieter year for watches and warnings. Let me see if I can move. Okay, good. I've got a window over there that's blocking part of my screen. Now I can see. Kind of the averages for Cleveland County in an average year based on 2010 to 2020, we have 5 tornado watches in Cleveland County, 11 severe thunderstorm watches, 5 tornado warnings, 42 severe thunderstorm warnings. Those smaller numbers off to the right-hand side there are what we had last year. So in some ways, last year was a quieter year. In some ways, you know, we actually had more severe thunderstorm warnings last year than average and more severe thunderstorm watches, but fewer tornado watches and warnings, which is okay. I don't have a slide for this, but last year in 2020 for the state, we had 39 tornadoes for the whole state of Oklahoma. The average is 57. Now that 39 follows 2019, where we had a record-setting 149 tornadoes. What does any of this mean for what the upcoming tornado season is going to be like? Absolutely nothing. You know, it's impossible to say. Everybody wants to forecast and wants to make a forecast of what the season's going to be like. You know, it's very rare for us to have 2 below normal seasons in a row. I mean, we did do that back in 2006 and 2007, where we had 2 seasons in a row, or 2 years in a row, where the tornado total was below normal. But you know, my gut feeling is we'll have more than we did last year, but just remember, like we tell everybody, it only takes one. It doesn't matter if it's a below normal season, if your town, if your house, if your family is affected, then that'll be a bad thing. So we are looking at a La Nina pattern continuing, and you may have seen news stories. There's been several national news stories about how this La Nina pattern may affect the upcoming severe weather season. And there's all kinds of theories, lots of comparisons to 2011. If you remember, 2011 was one of the craziest years I can remember just overall in our area and in Oklahoma, with record-setting cold, record-setting snow. And then we had the May 24th tornado outbreak. We had an EF4 tornado in November that year. It was just a crazy year. No 2 years are alike. It's not like, we can't say that this year is going to be exactly like 2011. It won't be. They never are. But we're just watching the patterns. And remember that these tornadoes are caused by individual thunderstorms. And if you remember back on, this is May 10th of 2010, I believe. At the beginning of that day, I think we had 3 tornadoes in the whole state. By the end of the day, we'd had nearly 60 or something like that. So one thunderstorm can produce more tornadoes than we can really deal with sometimes. So just keep that in mind. I'm not going to give you a forecast, but I think it will be more than last year. And I think we do need to be ready, because there will be tornadoes this year somewhere nearby, and we need to be prepared for those. Just a reminder, this is the area that my office covers. We cover the 48 counties in central and western Oklahoma and 8 counties in western North Texas. Every forecast, warning, every piece of weather information for any of those counties comes from our office. For the first time in many years, we are staffed up to our full staffing profiles. So the core group, the people that do the real work in the office, are these 16 people. These are the 5 senior meteorologists and the 11 meteorologists who work those rotating shifts and are there doing the forecast. When I send you an email or I do a weather briefing, I'm telling you what they told me to say, basically, because they are the experts. So, and they are the people that are there right now. So today it's Kevin and Bruce that are there. And unfortunately, they're dealing with internet problems, NWS chat problems, radar problems, things like that. Of course, things that you deal with when we're having the potential for severe weather, but that's the core of the group. That's the core of our operations and the people that do the most important work. Everybody else that works in the office is kind of support staff to them. So the green box is kind of the management team of the office. David Andrew, the meteorologist in charge. Todd Lindley is the science and operations officer, and I'm the warning coordination meteorologist. Then we have an electronics staff, 3 technicians, an analyst, and an information technology officer. And then we have a hydrologist, observations program leader, and administrative support assistant. So anyway, just want to kind of give you a feel for what the staffing is in our office. We're going to talk more about staffing here in a little bit when it comes to pandemic staffing and how we're handling all of that. This is back in the good old days where we could have everybody in the office, and this was a bigger severe weather day. This is what it would look like on one of the bigger severe weather days, where every chair in the room is full. Everybody at every one of those workstations has their own assignment and their own responsibilities of what they're working on, whether it's communications, whether it's hydrology, watching the flash flooding, whether it's social media, NWS chat, radar, or issue and warnings. So this particular day, we had all of that going on. I think this was maybe 2019. Well, it had to be 2019 sometime, but that's kind of a fully staffed office during a big severe weather day. Of course, we're looking at every available piece of weather information that comes in. We have our AWEPS computer system, which allows us to pull in everything from radar data to satellite data, computer model data, mesonet observations, airport observations, weather balloon soundings, pretty much anything you can imagine. And the forecasters use those same workstations to issue the forecast, the routine 7-day forecast, and to also issue anything from ice storm warnings to tornado warnings. On a typical day, we have a staff of 2 to 3 people working. Right now, we have 2 people in the office working, soon to have 3, and then we'll have more coming in later today. And of course, when it comes to severe weather, we're really focused a lot on radar data, and we use a tool called WarnGen to produce the warnings for us, where we actually draw the area that's being affected by the storm now and where we expect areas we expect to be affected, downstream for the next 45 minutes or so, and then we draw that warning up and it gets sent out. So again, during a typical severe weather operation, we may have 2, sometimes 3. I think we've had 4 people issuing severe thunderstorm and tornado warnings at one time, in addition to someone issuing flash flood warnings. So on a big day, it can get very busy, and every chair, like I said, it does require every chair in the room being full. We usually have what we call an information coordinator position also. This is the person who may be doing a variety of tasks. Sometimes this person is doing social media. They are also doing NWS chat. Sometimes we're also monitoring the 4 Oklahoma City TV stations. We try to monitor those during just about any weather event for a variety of reasons. The main reason is to get, glean the information that they're collecting for our uses. So if they've got helicopter pictures of a rotating wall cloud, or they've got chasers who are, taking pictures of hail and sending them to us, that's helpful. So we rely on that ground truth. So this can be one of the more multitask centric positions in the office, and where there's a lot going on. But this is all in support of the warning operations, getting reports off of social media or off the television, sharing those with the meteorologists who are issuing the warnings. We also work with 10 different TV stations. We serve 3 different television markets, cover parts of our area. The Oklahoma City market, obviously, with the 5 TV stations there. We have a station in Lawton and 2 in Wichita Falls, and 2 stations down in the Sherman, Dennis, and Ada area. We work with all those meteorologists around through NWS chat and through other ways. So those are the stations that we work with that cover parts of our 56 counties. And we do collaborate with them quite a bit. Often there's questions about, well, how do you work with the media, and why does the media do this or that, or do they do their own forecast, or questions like that. And we work very closely with them. They have a piece of data that we have pretty much available to them, and they do produce their own forecast. But we do collaborate with them and try to coordinate with them. We have, for the past several years now, done media workshops. We'll do 2 workshops a year. They have been in person in the past, but the last 2 have been virtual for reasons that are obvious. This is where we try to get as many of the stations together to come to our building and just talk about the weather, to talk about the common challenges, the common goals that we have, and to try to just have discussion going. I think the best way for us to have improved relations with the media, and they're good, but they could be better, is to have these interactions. So the top left image is one of our last in-person workshops there, with Randy doing some radar studies. And we get into some detailed meteorology with these. These are meteorologists, and we try to treat them as we should, as peers and as equals. So we share a lot of technical information. Bottom left-hand image there is Alex, one of our meteorologists, who's sitting down with Michael Armstrong on our weather event simulator, actually giving the meteorologists a chance to see what it feels like to actually issue a warning. And then the bottom right-hand image is from our last week's media workshop, where we had, I think, 8 of our 10 stations represented. Vivek was doing some pre-tornadic or a radar talk on pre-tornadic signatures. So again, that's all designed to just keep us all together, working together as much as possible. Also want to kind of give you behind the scenes of how we operate. We actually work with playbooks more and more. In the past, a lot of times, if I thought it was time for a webinar, I would just say, let's do a webinar. But we found, just like a lot of your jobs and a lot of your positions, you do need some redundancy, and you do need some plans in case I'm not there for whatever reason. So we developed these playbooks, and this decision support operations playbook. This kind of give you a glimpse inside of what we look at. This is our severe weather playbook. And I think this may not be the most current version, but this just gives the forecasters, whether I'm there or not, an idea of what we should be doing, how many times we should be posting on social media, when we should think about doing a partner webinar like we would do a special webinar. So if there's a day 3 severe weather risk, if there's an enhanced or high risk on day 3, then we're supposed to, the guidelines are to conduct a webinar. And I won't bore you with all the details, but there is a plan to what we do. And this is the day 1 severe weather risk playbook, where it talks about when to publish the first social media post, and when to do a YouTube video, and if we're going to do the webinar, when to send the email out, when to schedule that webinar, and things like that. Again, this is all about consistency. And again, I just want you to see that there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you don't see, a lot of planning that goes on. And sometimes hopefully it seems like it's working very smoothly, but there's a lot of this kind of thing that goes on behind the scenes. And really the main reason we're there is to provide information to protect life and property. And that usually this time of year comes in the form of severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings. Making that warning decision is difficult and it's challenging. It's not as easy as looking for a number or a triangle on a radar display. There's a lot of analysis that goes on, multiple radars, multiple elevation angles, and lots of information that we're taking in to make those warning decisions. Most warning decisions are based, or there's a foundation of that decision that's based on radar. And again, we're looking at not just the base level reflectivity like you see the TV station showing, but we're looking at all different elevations of the storm, velocities, all different kinds of fields, looking for tornado debris signatures and things like that. We're also comparing that to what's going on in the environment. You can have the nastiest looking storm with a massive hook echo on it, but if the environment that storm is moving into is not favorable for that storm to continue or to live on, then it's probably not going to be that big of a deal, no matter how that one snapshot, how bad that one snapshot of the storm looks. So we're looking at a lot of information. As I said before, we are looking at media reports. We are very interested in the information that they're sharing. So we're taking advantage of that, monitoring their video, their feeds and things like that. We're also kind of keeping an eye on what kind of messaging they're doing. If we see there's a lot of confusion about something, or what's been more common lately is there are certain things that you can see on radar that look very, very much like a strong rotational signature, these side lobe features that we talk about. And sometimes we will notice media keying in on a feature like that when we know that that's not a rotational feature, that is just an artifact of the radar data. And we can gently and kindly put something in NWS chat explaining that and hopefully helping to nudge them away from the excitement about that being a potential tornado and more toward, explaining to what them. So our job is to share information, to be the behind the scenes support staff for them. So that's another reason we're monitoring them. We are getting storm spotter reports, whether it's amateur radio, whether it's volunteer fire, whether it's a citizen who's taken a storm spotter class. Certainly the spotter networks and more and other places in the area are some of the best there are. And those reports are very, very valuable to us. We're also looking at storm chaser reports. Now, not all storm chaser reports are created equal. We do, take them with a grain of salt, but there are a lot of storm chasers that if I see that are out there on a severe weather day, I'm glad they're out there, because a lot of times they're in places where nobody else is. We may not have a spotter network in Ford County, Texas, where the cattle, we haven't taught them how to be storm spotters yet, but there's going to be chasers there if there's a tornado, most likely. So they give us a lot of good information as well. And we do glean a lot of reports and information from social media. Again, we take this with a huge grain of salt. We've been, the people have tried to trick us and fool us before with fake pictures or putting a water balloon in the freezer and filling it with water and trying to pass that off as a cantaloupe-sized hailstone. A lot of times we'll see pictures come in and we recognize that those aren't pictures from this storm, that's from 2011 or something like that. So we don't just take this blindly, but we do get, I don't know, in some cases, we get more reports on social media than we get from spotters, depending on what part of the area that the storm is in. And this can be from the media. Media will share us, like Emily Sutton in this case, got a hail report and tagged us in the tweet so we could see it. Same thing on Facebook. So that warning decision is based on all of that. It's based on the ground truth, but we're also looking at the history of the storm. The forecaster's intuition and experience comes into play. We have people in our office that have been doing this for decades and that are considered national experts on radar meteorology. So if it's a day where they're saying, I don't feel so good about this, or this storm has me concerned, that makes a difference in making a warning decision. Knowing the conceptual models, the diagrams that we show you in storm spotter training about where the hook is and where the mesocyclone should be, we certainly have that in our head. We're worried about storm impacts, obviously. We're also thinking about warning impacts. We don't want to issue warnings unnecessarily, and in many cases, the warning can cause more harm than the storm itself. So all of that is in our heads too. But that ground truth really comes into play. We're really thinking about those reports, and radar, no matter what radar you're looking at, what app you have, what TV station you're watching, radar cannot tell us where a tornado is definitively. or even if there's a tornado there, it can't tell us if it's hailing or how big the hail is or how strong the winds are. We need people to do that. So those reports are super, super critical, but it does make a difference who's reporting. It does make the report does have to make sense in the grand context of everything else. If we get a cantaloupe size hail report in Norman and we've gotten all the other hail reports around it or quarters or nickels, then that stands out, so that there may be something wrong with that report. Are the reports believable? Are they consistent? We do a lot of crowdsourcing where we're looking at not just an isolated report, but hopefully if there's more around it, we can use that to kind of see if that makes sense and compare it to what the environment says and what the radar says. We have had situations where people have tried to spoof us before, where we had a kid several years ago who was in his parents' house in Nashville, Tennessee, who was sending in fake reports through our online reporting system that we used to have. It happens occasionally, but not very often. So we're very diligent in trying to catch all of that. So any warning decision is based not on one sole thing, but it's usually almost always based on a preponderance of the evidence. So it's everything combined. It's not just the radar signature. It's not just that one report, but most often it's everything put together. And as I said before, radar warnings do have consequences. When we issue a tornado warning, there's outdoor warning sirens that are going off. People's cell phones are being alerted. TV stations, if they're not already wall-to-wall, are immediately going to wall-to-wall with a tornado warning. People respond to the warning. Schools are taking shelter. Hopefully people aren't doing what you see there at the bottom of the screen from May 31st, 2013, but people are doing things with warnings, and that's a big responsibility for us. We know that Galen has a lot riding on the warnings that we issue or don't issue. So we take that with that's a very big responsibility that we take very, very seriously. But we don't want to issue tornado warnings if we don't have to, but we will issue tornado warnings if we believe that there's a risk there and that they're necessary. Our general warning philosophy, just to kind of give you a sense of what's in the back of our head when we're issuing warnings. In our computer system, in that WarnGen computer system, the default duration of a warning for both severe thunderstorm warnings and tornado warnings is 45 minutes. We can change that. We can make it 30. We can make it 60. Usually don't go longer than an hour, but that's the default. So that's the normal amount of time that you'll get a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning for. We do try to make the warnings as small as possible to cover the storm or storms that we're dealing with. This gets a little bit tricky with tornado warnings because if we literally draw the polygon small enough to where we think the tornado actually is, that's not going to cover the rest of the storm where there may be baseball size hail and 80-mile-an-hour winds or something. So that's a dilemma that we have sometimes. Should we issue 2 warnings? Should we make one big warning and cover the whole storm? But we do try to make those warnings as small as we possibly can, because more and more people are getting warnings based on this polygon that we issue and not just based on the full counties. Now, weather radio still does the full counties and other systems still do too, but these warning polygons are more and more being used. City of Norman's using them for sirens, for example. We do try to account for city and county boundaries in our computer system. We have all kinds of map backgrounds and we have the city and county boundaries. We know the storm's going to do what it wants to do, and we're going to draw the polygon where we think the storm is going. But if we can keep it out of the city limits of Moore or Norman, if it's 45 minutes down the road, if a little tiny sliver of Norman's going to be included, and that's going to cause sirens to be sounded, we'll try to adjust for that. Now, I'm not going to promise we'll always do it, but we do try to do that. We even have the city of Oklahoma City's 9 warning siren sectors in there, because if a polygon touches a sector, that's how they decide how to set the sirens off. So don't think that we're looking at that a lot and making big decisions based on that, but we do have that availability, and we are at least able to see that kind of thing. Also keep in mind that you're going to get more than one warning in effect for the same area at the same time from time to time. Warning polygons are going to overlap. And one of the things that stresses me out as someone watching us issuing warnings sometimes is sometimes we may wait a little bit too long. We wait until the warning gets to the very edge of the polygon before we issue the next one. And we encourage the forecasters to not do that. We want them to make sure that everybody downstream has plenty of lead time. So especially for tornado warnings, you may see some overlapping. We're not going to wait till that tornado signature gets to the very edge at 44 after the hour and then issue the next warning. Hopefully, we're not supposed to be doing that. So that's the because of that, you will see some overlap from time to time. Now, we are operating differently now during the pandemic. Kind of give you behind the scenes. This is how we're going to be operating all severe weather season this year. We have no plans to reintegrate, and we're still teleworking and things like that. So this is how we're going to be operating. This is how we did it last spring and how we'll do it this spring. Since March 15th of last year, we've certainly had some limitations. We haven't been able to do any in-person meetings or do any travel except for damage surveys or maintenance on equipment. Obviously, can't have any visitors in the office, no tour, no National Weather Festival, anything like that. And in our office since March 15th of last year, we've implemented what's called Sunday staffing. So every day of the year, there are 7 operational shifts. There are 7 operational shifts where meteorologists are working. So there's 2 people that come in at 7 in the morning. There's a person that comes in at 10 in the morning. 2 more people come in at 3 in the afternoon, and then someone comes in at 10 p.m. Someone comes in at 11 p.m. So we have lots of overlap there, but that's the only people that are working in the office routinely. And that has been that way for a year now. Now, our electronics technicians have to go in from time to time. I've been there probably 5 or 6 times since last March 15th for various reasons, usually to work severe weather, but that's our staffing. So those 7 operational shifts a day are all that's there. Everybody else, the non-operational, all those support staff that I showed you, and any meteorologist who's on a training shift or something, they're at home working. So that is what we've been doing. We actually physically moved some things in the office to help us distance more. Do I have a slide for that? Yeah, this is an overhead view of our operations area, and you can see there's 10 positions there that we would typically staff or could staff up to that many for a severe weather event. What we've done is we've taken 2 of the workstations out of there. So the one in the top right corner and the one in the bottom left-hand corner, we actually moved those workstations. One went into someone's office and one went into another room kind of away from operations. This allows us to separate not only within the operations area to be further apart, but also if we have a big day, we're going to need a lot more people in the office than we would have for an event like today, for example. So that would also give us the opportunity for people to have a workstation to work at separated from each other. So we're very much still hardcore in this mode of social distancing, and we have to wear a mask at all times when we're in the office, and things like that. So we're the Department of Commerce, NOAA, Weather Service taking a very conservative approach. And the 3 yellow circles, if you can kind of see those there that pop up toward the middle of the image, those are positions that we would typically have working in the office that may be doing a lot of that work that those people will be doing may be done at home. And I'll talk more about that in a second. When the pandemic started, I'll be completely honest, we didn't really have a playbook for that. We didn't really have something where it's like, okay, in a pandemic, this is what we do, and this is how we handle teleworking, and this is how we handle severe weather, things like that. We had to improvise and do a lot of on the fly, innovation, making this up as we go along, but it worked out fairly well. We quickly determined that there are certain tasks that you can only do in the office. So we have to have people in the office to do warnings, to do the routine daily forecast. You can't launch a weather balloon from your house, not easily. So we do that from the office. Graphics have to be done from the office. And NWS chat can be done from home, and we sometimes do it from home, or usually it's a hybrid of people at home and at the office. But really, the best information on NWS chat is going to be when we have somebody in the office, because the person in the office is sitting close to the warning forecasters and hearing the information about what they're about to do or what they're thinking about a storm. And a lot of that gets transcribed into chat. So there's things that we have to do in the office. And in the baseline guidance for the staff is we try to have no more than 5 people in the office for a severe weather event. Now we can have more, and certainly if we have a big day, last year was relatively quiet. We didn't really have to break that rule so much, but if we have to break it, we will. We're not going to put our operations at jeopardy or the quality of information at jeopardy. We will take all necessary precautions and get as many people in there as we can. In the meantime, we're going to have people that are supporting from home, doing telework. And there are certain things that were obvious that people can do from home. We can do social media from home. I can tweet and do Facebook posts from my house here. I can monitor the local Oklahoma City TV stations from here. I can actually collect storm reports and actually send those out. The one thing that we can actually transmit out to the world from the Weather Service from our house is the local storm reports. So that gets done a lot from home. And two analysis positions that are really kind of integral to our severe weather operations are a meso-analysis position and a radar analysis position. During severe weather, we have somebody in the office that they are the warning forecasters. And usually they are responsible for a portion of our county warning area. So for example, Vivek is a warning forecaster. He may be covering all the storms south of I-40 and west of I-35, whereas Phil is covering the rest of the storms. It gets divided up. Those warning forecasters are zoomed in on their area looking at things, but that radar analyst can do this from home in a lot of cases and can be looking at the bigger picture. They're also a safety net or another set of eyes that can look at things, and we can provide feedback. They can provide feedback to the warning forecasters who are in the office and say, hey, I noticed the circulation on this storm has weakened, or it's broadening, or it's tightening, or did you notice that this storm is getting close to that boundary we were worried about? Situational awareness types of things, and just another set of eyes. And we can also compare notes. You know, we're thinking about a tornado warning for that storm. What do you think about it? And the radar analyst can kind of help with that. The meso-analyst is someone who can work from home, who's looking at the environmental data. So they're looking at what's the instability like? Where's the boundary? Where's the dry line? Are we seeing the winds backing or veering at the surface? Are the dew points going higher or lower? Is the moisture getting more deeper? Things like that definitely influence warning decisions. So we're doing a lot of that from home. So a lot of times there's a collaborative effort going on. These are the two main tools that we use to coordinate. Of course, we text and phone call, but we use Google Chat and Google Meet extensively to coordinate. Google Chat is just an internal chat room that we can use, and we coordinate. We use this every single day, and it can be anything from, you know, on a routine day. Last week, there was lots of, hey, there's a vaccine clinic open here, so our people can get vaccinated. But on a severe weather day, it's like, or leading up to a severe weather day, it's like, here's my staffing plan, or here's what we're thinking. Here's who's going to come in early. Here's who's going to stay late. Coordinating on weather, things like that. Now, Google Chat is used all the time extensively for that. We also use Google Meet. We have a Google Meet every single morning at 8:15 with the entire staff, just kind of a catch up with everybody. How's it going? What equipment's not working? It's not who's traveling, because nobody's really traveling now, but who's available, who's sick, who's working, that type of thing, any equipment issues. So we have that every day. But on a severe weather day, for example, I don't think we're going to do it today, but yesterday for the severe weather, we had a Google Meet right after our 8:15 meeting where all the meteorologists stuck on, and we kind of compared notes about what are you seeing in the model data? What are the trends? What is our messaging? What's our messaging going to be today? What's the language that we're going to use? Is this a webinar day? Do we need to schedule a webinar? If we're going to send an email out to our EM and public safety list, what does that email need to say? So so we want to have a unified message. That Google Meet allows us to do that. And in some severe weather events last year, we actually kept a Google Meet room open so that the people who are teleworking can feel more connected to what's going on in the office. Like, there was a couple of days actually where, you know, before we issue a tornado watch, for example, we get on a conference call with the Storm Prediction Center. Well, we got the people in the office to actually broadcast that call over the Google Meet, so everybody working at home can feel more part of the team, because you can feel kind of isolated sitting in your house. But this kind of thing, the chat and the Meet, really, really helps to make me feel like I'm more part of the operation, because I'm almost always here at home doing that. This is a shot of one of my setups last year during severe weather before I moved. But, you know, I have TweetDeck up there for monitoring Twitter. I have the Google chat room. I have NWS chat and radar scope. I have a couple of iPads monitoring the TV stations. And there's different setups that people have. This is actually one of the internal things that we're using yesterday to plan for severe weather. So this was the staffing summary and staffing matrix as we planned who's going to do what. and who's doing it from home versus who's coming into the office. So what time are people coming in? How late can they stay? Things like that. So we use this routinely. And again, this is another thing that Google allows us to share. None of this is groundbreaking. People are doing this stuff all over the world in the pandemic and on a daily basis. So I'm not saying we invented anything. I'm just saying, I just want to show you that we were actually utilizing these tools to really, really help us. Here's another example of how they're sharing information from the office to help us be plugged in. Ryan, one of the forecasters yesterday, we have an internal chat room between us and other weather service offices and the SPC. Well, he gave us a heads up yesterday that SPC was in the collaboration chat, and they're going to put us in a day 1 enhanced on the next update, and they're going to do a day 2 enhanced for tornadoes and hail for tomorrow. So, and then Ryan actually took a picture of an internal, we get a preview of the outlook sometimes if SPC puts them up there. So he sent us that. That was right before the routine day 1 outlook update came out. So again, just a way to keep us in the loop. The mesoanalyst who's at home. This is Randy Bowers last year during one event. He was looking at the data from his house and he came up with this mesoscale update. You know, what are the storms going to do? What's the tendencies? What does the Warning forecast model show is going to happen? So he would drop this in our internal chat room and he said, hey, is this okay if I put this in chat? Everybody said, yep, go ahead. And seconds later, he copied and pasted and it was in an NWS chat. So a lot of times if you're on chat, the things that you see in there, especially mesoscale updates, radar and analysis updates are from somebody at their house. So a lot of times you don't know that, and that's good because it means, you know, that's how it's supposed to look. And just another example, I don't want to beat a dead horse, but this is some of the collaboration coordination. Doug was in the office on this day. He was the coordinator and he's telling everybody at home they're going to let the tornado warning expire. And then Vivek and David were the radar analysts at home. So they were giving information to the warning forecasters. And Matthew was a meso analyst giving information on what some of the short-term models were showing. All right, I'm going to keep talking here. We'll take questions at the end. There's some changes coming up this spring to our severe thunderstorm warnings and special weather statements I want to make sure everybody's aware of. Beginning on April 28th, we're going to be putting damage threat category tags at the bottom of severe thunderstorm warnings. You may be familiar with those and the severe thunderstorm warnings now. Let's see, do I have an example? Yeah, that we have the hail and the wind tag down at the very bottom of the warning that you can see there. Beginning on April 28th, we're going to add some more details. So we're going to have a considerable and a destructive tag. So if we forecast winds of 70 miles an hour and or golf ball size hail, that will attach a considerable tag. And if we go 80 miles an hour or higher and baseball size or higher, that'll attach a destructive tag to the warning. Now, what's that going to do? Well, that's going to, I'll show you in a second. Sorry, I got my slides out of order here. The current tags that go at the bottom of a severe thunderstorm warning, you can do a tornado possible tag, you can do a hail or a wind. The new structure, the new options to us are going to be those that you see there. We'll still have the tornado possible tag, but you'll have that damage threat tag if we do a considerable or destructive. And there's a little bit more detail on the hail and the wind, whether it's radar indicated or observed, and then just the hail size or the wind speed that we are expecting. Really, the most exciting part of this to me is if we do a destructive tag in a severe thunderstorm warning, that's going to activate the wireless emergency alert system. The alert system that's on your cell phone, that's a collaborative effort between Weather Service and FEMA and all the cell phone providers out there. So if we issue a warning that has baseball size hail and or 80 mile an hour winds, that will activate the wireless emergency alert system, either in the original warning or if we update the warning in a severe weather statement. You'll only get one per warning or per severe weather statement, but that will activate for that. Now we're changing our warnings on April 28th, but it may take a little bit of time for FEMA and everybody else to make those changes. So the WIA changes, don't expect to start getting WIA alerts on April 28th. The language that they used in the emails, it will take effect sometime after April 28th, which that could be anything, but I think it'll be pretty soon after that, hopefully. And I wanted to see what we've done. If we had been doing this in the past 4 or 5 years, what would it look like? Well, on average, if we went back retroactively 2016 to 2020, we would have done this 56 times a year on average for all of our counties. So that might come out to, I think I looked at Cleveland County, it was like twice we may have done this on average per year. So I don't think it's going to be a lot of new alerts on people's phones, but it will be some. And it's going to be an education effort, because people like Galen and the TV stations and some others of you are going to get questions. Why in the world is my cell phone going off for a severe thunderstorm warning? So we want you guys to be aware that this is coming, and that you know what it's going to mean. So when that comes into effect, this is for severe weather related products. This is what will trigger the wireless emergency alert system. If we issue a tornado warning of any kind, that will trigger it. If we issue a tornado emergency with that tornado warning with the catastrophic tag, either as the initial warning or we upgrade another warning, that will set off the wireless emergency alerts. We just talked about severe thunderstorm warnings, and the flash flood warnings that have those higher 2 levels of tags will also set it off. Now, it can also be for other things too, but in our area, that's the vast majority. So people will be getting more wireless emergency alerts as we go through this spring. Severe special weather statements are also going to change. You may be used to calling these significant weather advisories. We're not going to call them that anymore. This is a headquarters decision, not ours, but we're just going to be changing the special weather statements to look more like convective warnings. So it's going to have bullets, and it's even going to have tags down at the bottom. So even a special weather statement that's issued for a sub-severe storm is going to have the hail size and wind speed. We can even talk about land spouts. If we get one of these land spouts, which is typically a stationary tornado that can develop usually out in the field on a very warm, hot day that doesn't really pose much of a threat to life and property, we can actually cover those in these special weather statements. Let's see, what else do I have? Okay, that's all the slides I have. Good. I was hoping to have some time here at the end. So I blasted through a whole bunch of stuff there. So if anybody has any questions or want to talk any more in detail about any of that stuff, or anything else that I didn't cover, if you got a question about something else, here's your chance. I'm glad to answer it if I can. If not, I'll make something up.
Rick, do you think that with the new tags coming out on the severe warnings, that you're going to see people start to ignore the severe warnings that don't have the higher threat tags on them?
That's a good question. And yeah, that's something we think about. I mean, that when we started doing, or when the Weather Service kind of institutionalized the tornado emergency, then that was one of the fears in the Weather Service and in the warning community in general, is like, well, you know, are people going to just, I'll wait for a tornado emergency to take cover, or I'll wait for, you know, a destructive tag before I do anything. It's quite possible. I mean, we average, you know, nearly 50 severe thunderstorm warnings a year in the metro area. I know people ignore a lot of them anyway. So I don't know. That's certainly a danger, and I don't know how we combat that, but I hope people see the value. I guess I'm kind of looking at the other side of it. Is it's going to be nice to be able to tap people on the shoulder about these really bad storms. So hopefully, even if they're ignoring the other ones, they'll take some action for the bigger ones. But I don't know. You've got a great point, and I have that feeling too. And
I was going to make the same comment about flipping it and going, well, maybe the people that are ignoring all of the severe warnings now, you know, tell me when it's a tornado. That you know, if they see the destructive tag, that maybe they'll go, oh, this isn't 60 and dimes.
And that's the kind of message I try to convey when I'm doing an interview or doing a talk or something, is like, if you've been ignoring these before, know that there's a new tool to help you know when the really bad storm is coming. So yeah, great point. Any other comments, questions?
Rick, I would just mention, I experienced one of those phone alerts the other day. I was driving up to Wichita, and somewhere south of Wichita, all of a sudden my phone gave that awful screech, and apparently they were testing in the whole state of Kansas. They did a statewide severe weather test, and but it was a beautiful day, and but man, it sure rocks you when that phone goes off. So
that was I think there were some lessons learned from that. The system didn't work. The wireless emergency alert system did not treat that as a test, and it went out as a real thing. The language in it like a real thing.
Yeah, it talked about a tornado's coming, take cover immediately. Yeah, there was nothing about warning to it, but it was a gorgeous sunny day. So
yeah,
you know.
that's one reason I'm not really a fan of doing test or practice tornado warnings. But anyway, yeah, that happens. But yeah, it's a good tool, and really it's good for travelers. I think they're one of the groups that get the most benefit, because if you're driving from here to Kansas City and you're on the turnpike and you don't know what county you're in or what exit did I just pass, you don't really have to know. I mean, it's going to approximate your location and give you the warning if you're near one of those cell towers. So, yeah.
Right.
Rick, if I can ask you a question about how does the National Weather Service interplay with the ham community?
Yeah, you would think, speaking to an amateur radio group, I would have touched on that. I'm sorry. I was working on slides this morning, and some remained hidden when they should have. Yeah, we work with the amateur radio community. Now, things have changed in recent years. Amateur radio used to be a core integral part of our operations. That was someone who got called in just like you're a warning forecaster. And a lot of times it was Dennis McCarthy, who used to be here, Jim Papura, who was my predecessor. When I first got here, I did a lot of it, Forrest Mitchell, others in the office. We had about half.
You couldn't get Dennis off the radio.
Do what? Oh, yeah.
You couldn't get Dennis off the radio.
I know. That's what I heard. And he was good at it with his exciting articulation of things. But no, Dennis is a great guy.
Tapes of that still exist.
Oh, yeah. It does. I'll have to show the Shut Up Dennis video sometime again in a spotter.
No.
But yeah, so it is a part of our operations. It has transitioned, though. We don't really have as much someone sitting in the operations area of our office doing the amateur radio live from the office like we used to. Number one, we don't really have as much space to do it as we used to in the old office. It was kind of a workstation off to the side, and it lent itself to that more. In the other office, we were able to do that more. And second, we just got so much new stuff piled on top of us. We got NWS chat, we got social media, we got other things, meso analysis and things like that we weren't doing quite as much so far. We didn't get any more people to do that. So we're stretched more thin with the amateur radio stuff, but what's worked very well is when we have net control stations scattered across the area who are collecting those reports from their local networks and then sending them into us on NWS chat. That's really been very effective. We will give amateur radio operators access to NWS chat, but only if they're a net control station or someone that's working directly with an emergency manager or some organized spotter network. We can't just give it to everybody that's out there. Unfortunately, it's overloaded enough as it is. But so yeah, we do interact. We do very much appreciate all the reports. I'm an amateur radio operator. I haven't talked on the radio in I don't know how long. The only reason I'm in the Weather Service is because I'm an amateur radio operator. That's how I got my foot in the door. That was the basis. I got my license so I could be a storm spotter, and that really started me on this road. So I have the utmost respect and appreciation, but we still rely on it, but it's different than it used to be.
Tune up and get on the air.
I need to have a radio first here at home, but anyway, I'm embarrassed to say what a non-operator I am. But
I believe Scars can handle that for you. We'll get you taken care of radio wise.
I've got one somewhere. I've got a handy talkie somewhere. Anyway,
we'll get you some.
Rick,
promises.
Rick, can you hear me? This is Hank Hamner. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
How do you interface with the aviation weather out at the airports?
Okay, well, at Will Rogers, for example, there is of course, we have an automated weather station out there. ASOS is the acronym for that. We do have a weather observer, a contract weather observer who's contracted with the FAA to kind of watch over those observations at certain times of the day and augment them if he or she needs to. So that's still there. We used to have live observers 24 hours a day at a lot of these airports, but most of the observations now are automated, but in some situations we do have an actual person there.
So do you issue any of the aviation warnings, or is that done under the airport's authority or what?
The only aviation things we do is we do routine aviation forecasts. So for Will Rogers, 4 times a day, we'll produce call it a TAF, a terminal aerodrome forecast, and it's kind of gives ceilings, visibilities, cloud heights, or wind speed, wind shear, things like that for aircraft at Will Rogers and several other airports around the area. We do an airport weather warning, which is something that we generate that is specifically and only for Will Rogers. And we have a set of criteria that we use for that. So if we're expecting, I can't remember what the wind threshold is. It's lower than a severe thunderstorm warning, and it could also be sleet or freezing rain. That's mainly for ramp operations. It's not necessarily for air traffic and things like that. The weather alerts and forecasts and information for en route flights and things like that come from the Aviation Weather Center in Kansas City, and from there are some weather service units located at some hub airports like Fort Worth and Memphis that do some of those too. So our only warning that we do for airports is that airport weather warning.
Thank you. One final question: do you coordinate the air balloons, or who determines where they sent and when they're used and things like that?
Very good question. The Weather Service offices, and there's about 90 something of them across the country that are upper air sites that do weather balloons routinely. Those were established way back in the day, and they're spread out to try to give us as even coverage as possible across the United States. We need a lot more of them, obviously, but our side, and just like everybody else does, 2 launches a day routinely. We do it at 0Z. They're called the 0Z and 12Z launch. We actually do start the launch an hour before that. So the 0Z launch actually we let the balloon out of our hand sometime right around 5 p.m. and the same thing at 5 a.m. for the 12Z launch. Of course, we'll be changing times tomorrow. But yeah, those are done routinely. We do have the option of doing extra balloons. Typically, those are done at the request in our area of the Storm Prediction Center if it's a severe weather day, and then we get a handle on the cap or moisture depth or something like that. They can ask us for it. Sometimes during hurricane season, the Hurricane Center will ask for supplemental balloons from a wide swath of the southern United States so they can get more updated weather information into their computer models for hurricane track forecasting. We can also decide to do one on our own if we just, and we've done that before, if we just want to do one, just to get for freezing rain forecast or for severe weather, we do those too. So that's a long rambling answer. We routinely do twice a day. We can do extra ones. I know there was a severe weather event in the past 2 years where we did one every 3 hours for a while, just because it was a big day or potentially a big day. When we tie that back to aviation, we do coordinate every time we launch a balloon. Well, when we launch the morning balloon, when Westheimer is in operation, we actually call the tower before we launch the balloon just to give them a heads up that we're launching. They know our schedule, but we just give them a heads up that we're launching. So
well, thank you very much. Your presentation has been very interesting. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate the questions. Anybody else? Anything at all?
I have a couple of things.
Yes.
One, I'm glad you touched on the ham radio side of it, because I've been trying to encourage larger portions of the Chase community to utilize amateur radios. As you well know, there are large swaths of area that don't have cellular data, like a good chunk of the current target area for today. So I'm glad we were able to touch on that. The other thing kind of stems on some discussions that we've had over on the Storm Track forum and on the Discord off and on over the last couple of years. And there's been a number of surveys among non-weather people, just your average civilian, where they tend to confuse the various risk levels. And this is probably more of an SPC question than for you, but I was just kind of curious on your thoughts. They tend to confuse marginal and slight, and they tend to confuse moderate and enhanced and get them flip-flopped. And I was just kind of curious on your thoughts of that.
Yeah, there's a lot of studying that's being done on that. I mean, it was carefully thought out when the SPC introduced these categories. There was consultation with social scientists and things like that. But clearly it's not working for everybody. I mean, there are people that I work with in the building, students that have done research and have just recently presented research at a couple of big weather conferences on surveys that they've done that verify exactly what you're saying. People have different ideas of what's worse, enhanced or moderate. Most people don't know that enhanced actually is short for an enhanced slight risk. So it's a slight risk that's enhanced a little bit. Some people put enhanced above moderate. People get confused by the colors. The colors don't make sense to everyone. So I don't think we'll ever have a perfect system, but know that the SPC is listening. They're really looking at these studies, and I don't have any information if they're going to change anything, but they're certainly open to it. They're not set in stone with any of this. I don't know. My personal opinion, just sitting here in my office at home, is I think it's too many. I mean, I think we're okay with 3. I think 5 can be too much. 5 may be good for us folks, you know, the internal people that can get the nuances between them. But, you know, I don't know, maybe 2 is good enough, 2 or 3. But that's my personal opinion. But yeah, I see the confusion. But what we tried to do, and the SPC has tried to do, is use words, use colors, and use numbers. And it seems to me, and I know Channel 5 does this a lot, is they'll say this is a 3 out of 5, or this is a 2 out of 5. And when I do communication with the public sometime or on social media, sometimes I'll use that, and people seem to get that more than they do, you know, a slight or an enhanced or something like that. So it's very much an issue, and everybody's aware of it. And there's the foundations of work going on to see what we need to do about that next.
Yeah, I've been chasing long enough that I remember the old the 3-tiered risk system. So, and myself and some of the older chasers kind of feel like that simplifying it back down to that point would probably be easier from a public standpoint.
Yeah, I think in the future though, we're going to be, I mean, all their outlooks are based on probabilities now, but we're going to be going down that road even further and introducing probabilities in some form or fashion into more of the forecast, the watches, the warnings, things like that. So that's going to probably change the way we do things too. So I don't know, it's a good point. And that's one of the challenges this time of year, is just communicating the risk. And another point that I make, is just my personal opinion, is, do we expect people to do something different? The average citizen walking around Norman or Moore today, do we expect them to do something different if we say it's a slight risk versus an enhanced or moderate risk? Or we still want them to pay attention, be ready? I don't know. I could go on a soapbox, but that's my opinion. Good points.
And change doesn't come quickly within the Weather Service, nor does it come without a lot of research and thought and talking to people. You know I was part of a group, gosh, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 years ago, working on the changes to the watch warning advisory system. So,
yeah, it's not a fast process. Thankfully, though, we have learned. I mean, the reason we have slight, moderate, and high to start with is a bunch of, you know, educated white guy meteorologists, geeky meteorologists got in a room and came up with that system because it made sense to them and sounded good to them, with no input at all from real people. So then we just inherited that, and that's gone down the line. So slight was probably never a good word for the public, but the outlooks were never intended to be for the public. They were internal products, but they just evolved over time. So if you go back to the roots to see where all this started, that's kind of the problem, is we were geeky guys talking to each other. But now we have a full complement of social scientists from all different disciplines involved, and communications experts and specialists and surveys. And so we're doing it, I think we're doing it right this time, but it is, nothing moves quickly with this. Any other thoughts, comments, questions, requests, complaints?
No, but thank you for coming today.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I was trying to remember the last time I was at a SCARS meeting, and oh my gosh, I'm embarrassed. I don't know if it might have been, I don't know when it was, but it's been way too long. So
you said it was at the Moose Lodge. You said it was at the Moose Lodge is what we came up with.
I think so. And I don't know if there was one at Fire Station 7 one time. I don't know if y'all have ever met there.
Oh yeah, we used to.
That's normal.
That's normal for us. I got one more question.
I may have done one there, but the Moose Lodge was the first one I can remember, and that's
a while ago.
Got here, I think.
Rick, I got one question from Mike. It says he really enjoys the outlooks on amateur radio, broadcast on amateur radio. Does the National Weather Service fund any of this? And do you plan to continue the outlooks? I'm guessing he's talking about the 14510 repeater in Oklahoma City.
Yeah, that is one of the things that's kind of fallen victim to just, amateur radio, us kind of getting spread thinner in the office and not being able to devote all the attention to that. What it ends up being a lot of times in some parts of our area, the local amateur radio network net controls or someone will do that outlook. They'll just read the outlook at, we used to do it at 7:30 and 12:30 or something like that. We used to do it from the office on all the different repeaters. We don't do that anymore. On 145.410, I thought somebody had picked that up and was doing it. You may occasionally hear Forrest Mitchell doing it. If he's in the office, he will do it. A lot of times if you hear him on amateur radio, is doing it from home, kind of on his own time. So we don't have a routine set up to do that outlook like we used to. I know it's valuable though for people that are out and about and not able to read it. And, it's kind of a traditional thing that, I'd certainly like to keep going any way we can, but.
Rick, maybe we need to get together on that afterwards and figure out how to work something out with the community. That'd be
Yeah, I heard him twice yesterday. It was very nice.
Yeah, I mean, like the Southwest Link, the SWIRA group down there. I think somebody down there does it. I think on their repeaters at those times, just on their own. I mean, all we're doing is just reading the text product. So we weren't really providing a lot of insight or anything into that. But yeah, I think it's good, and that's what it's come to a lot now. It's just relying on you guys in the local areas to kind of collect and forward to us, or, we still have the amateur radios on. We very much are, we're also using 800 megahertz on the state system, the SEMA 3 and 4 to communicate in Galen. We did get some new radios the other day, so we're in good shape there now with that. I think there was a problem with one of the connectors for the the base station, but anyway, we talk about that later. But yeah, that is part of the tradition that a lot of people have relied on. So hopefully we can keep it going.
I got another one from John K5GTW. With all the weather products and data you have from past events, is there still no substantial correlation between ground terrain and the effects on tornado genesis?
There's a lot of research that's been done on that. I know that there's people over in Huntsville, Alabama that are doing research on that because they're very tornado prone, and they have some they have some mountains that are geographic features that they think have some correlation. I don't think they have any widespread correlation. It could be that there could be some local effects. For example, this is not one of the things I worked in the Tulsa office for a while, and they still notice is you get more easterly winds around Fort Smith because of the channeling of the winds due to some terrain features there. So you certainly get that. We certainly see that. You can actually get some upslope action going on like you see in the Rockies, but on a much smaller scale in the Wichita Mountains or things like that. So I'm not saying it has no effect, but it's not going to stop a tornado. It's not going to deflect a tornado. There may be impacts on the very, very small scale that's really even hard to measure or study. But we've seen tornadoes go up and down the mountains in the Wichitas and the Rocky Mountains. Tornadoes really don't see that terrain, but I can't say it doesn't have a role. But I don't think there's any terrain around the metro area here that would play any role at all. I mean, there's a myth among some out there that tornadoes don't cross the mighty roaring Canadian River down there that you can walk across most of the time, but nothing like that has a big impact. But I'm not saying there's no impact, and there are studies being done to understand it more. Good question. Anybody else before we wrap up? All right. Well, I thank you so much, Mark Galen, everybody
Thanks,
else for
Rick.
having me, for the invitation. And anytime I can come back, if you come up with another topic you want to talk about or something, I'd be glad to do it. It'll be hurricane season, whatever. So just let me know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick.
Thanks.
Thanks, Rick.
All
Thank
right.
you,
Well,
Rick.
if we have no further discussion with Rick, we'll move into the club meeting. The first thing, again, welcome to those who may have popped on after we first came on. We're glad you're here today. One of these days we'll get to see each other in person again and share our hobby together. But for now, we're limited to the electronic means. So first of all, Peter, do you want to talk about VE?
Mark, will you put up the slide? Share that slide. We had, it seems like 14 test sessions since the last meeting. It's not really true, but we got a bunch of new hams. So many you cannot, Mark can't actually fit them all on the screen. We had our regular test session. We had a session for somebody that needed an accommodation. We had another session for a ham whose father is a VE and who we had a second session and a no-show was invited and he showed up. So we had a bunch of sessions. But we have a whole bunch of new hams. Look at them all. And that's just the technicians. If you scroll up a bit more, we made some generals right out of the box too. Those guys are all from the university. They're all part of Tom Hayes. God, what's his call sign? KI5GT, is that right?
Yeah.
His rocket squad there, they're all keeners.
Rocket squad.
Yeah, well, they launch rockets, they fly balloons, they do all kinds of, they're aeronautical and aerospace and mechanical engineers. I mean, that's what they do, right? But they're all, some of them are pretty giddy about radio, especially that guy at the bottom there, Jared, KI5GT. He's the Alpha Sigma Delta Radio Society president this year. We're trying to keep the club going, but it's tough at the university. Nick there is Peter Corr's son. All those three guys upgraded to general. So yeah, we've been busy the last little while. It's been good though. It's been good. Next session is Mark's birthday, April Fool's Day.
No. Those guys, the four of those were the balloon team that got their license on a Thursday and we're having a balloon in the air on Saturday. That was cool.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Since we switched our accrediting body from the ARRL VEC to the Laurel Amateur Radio Club VEC. And the Laurel Amateur Radio Club VEC, for those of you that have been exposed to it, that we run everything on the computer. All the data is submitted electronically to the VEC, who makes sure that I spelled everything right, and then immediately uploads it to the FCC. And most test sessions, the results post that evening, 9 or 10 o'clock, depends. The system is a batch system at the FCC, so it only processes the queue once an hour. And I've been told the schedule a million times, and I just can't internalize it. But once an hour for probably about 17, 18 hours a day, just not on the weekends. So if we do a test session on a Friday or a Saturday, you're not going to see the stuff until Monday morning, but you will see it Monday morning. Where was I going with that, Mark? So Eric, KI5OLJ, got his general, as did a couple of others, and got his call sign that night. And Saturday morning, they launched a balloon with APRS and Whisper on it, and they tracked it quite a ways. Where did my track stopped at Juanette? Is that where it came down, Mark? Do you know?
The right answer is we don't know. That was the last transmission of the night, and when the sun came up, nothing was transmitted. The theory,
okay.
The theory is it's up in space, just not transmitting. Nobody has any idea.
Okay, because I noticed on the track that the altitude was still climbing as it passed over metropolitan Wanette. Okay, so we lost telemetry, is what you're saying.
Or it blew up, or who? We don't know. We don't.
Yeah. Okay. And anyway, so that I thought that was really cool. Is that these guys are excited about this? They came and got their license, and the next Saturday they're launching a balloon with a ham radio package on it. I thought that was pretty darn cool. Other things, while I've got you people's attention, we now scan all the paperwork and upload that to the LARC VEC. This is a change. Previously, I had been stuffing them all in a priority mail envelope and sending them off to the Laurel VEC because there is an FCC requirement that all test materials are kept for a period of 15 months after the test. And this is not frivolous. This does get looked at sometimes because sometimes there's a discrepancy in what was on the form versus what the candidate thought was on the form, and they've had to go back and look at that old paperwork to figure out what went wrong. But it doesn't need to be paper, and the FCC doesn't intend for it necessarily to be paper. And when they've been asked about it in the recent past, they said, no, you need to keep the test materials. Well, if that's a PDF of a scan of the paper, they're fine with that. So that's what we're doing. We're scanning the paperwork that you sign and that you did your answers on. We scan them in color so you can see the red marks on the answer sheet, and we upload them. And that's I mean, $8 a month is what it was costing SCARS, and we don't have that expense anymore. It's not a big expense, but it was an expense. And we don't have to do that anymore. So yay. The flip side of that is, as we've mentioned in the past, Congress has mandated the FCC to impose fees on licensees who are making applications to the FCC. The fee will be $35 for an amateur radio application, and an application be a new license, an upgrade license, a renewal license, not a change of address, not a change of name, as far as we know. However, that has not gotten into effect yet. It has not yet appeared in the Federal Register. Once it does, it'll be 30, 60, or 90 days after that. As soon as I know that that's happened, I will make sure that everybody in SCARS knows about it. I think maybe what we should do is set up a everybody get upgraded test session before it happens, so that everybody can get general or extra or whatever they want to get before the $35 fee goes into effect. That will not be collected by our team. That will be between the candidate and the FCC, and they'll pay online to get the application released and the license issued. So I think that's all I have. Mark, did you think of anything else that I forgot?
Nope.
Okay.
Peter,
Sir.
smile.
That better?
No, you know what I meant.
No,
Amazon
really.
Smile.
Oh, Amazon Smile. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I thought you meant me. Yeah, so we did well. Third quarter of last year, lots and lots of people clicked the Smile link when they were going to Amazon. So when they bought stuff, we got a teeny tiny percentage of their whatever they bought. It's like a 0.5%. It's given how much money Jeff Bezos had, dude, could you make it 1%? Anyway, we got $116 and change in the third quarter. That fourth quarter, that's like free money. It doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost us anything. It costs Jeff Bezos money, and God, he's still got $200 billion. So, yeah, so thank you everybody for clicking on Smile instead of the regular Amazon link and designating us as your 501c3. If you have another charity that you support in place of SCARS, I get it. That's fine. The important thing is we're diverting some of that money out of Jeff Bezos' pocket and into something worthwhile. So, and if that worthwhile thing happens to be SCARS, great, and thank you. So. Was that what you wanted, Lee? He's gone.
Oh, yes, sir. That is what I wanted. Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Yeah, we did. Everybody did a good job. There was a lot of people encouraging people to go to Smile, and that all paid off. So we should be in coffee and donuts for the rest of our lives.
Very good. Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome.
Before we move on, I did get a message from Forrest Mitchell, KB5FOL, who is one of the Weather Service folks that typically you hear on the air. And he says he will continue to broadcast the hazardous weather outlook, most likely from home using his personal call sign KB5FOL. You may hear him use WX50UN. If so, he's at work. So he apparently is going to continue broadcasting that. So that hopefully will answer the earlier comments, and perhaps we can augment that, because there will be days that he's not available or working mids or whatever. So. All right, Peter, anything else from the VE side?
No, just the upcoming fee that is going to happen. The only thing that's a question is the date of implementation. So there's Mike Winkle.
Yes, it is. And I need to turn my radio down.
I've got a quick question.
Good morning, Mikey. And
I think I'm gonna get to it.
happy to say
One way to kill it.
Somebody had a question.
Yeah, it's Bill. I'm a VE with ARRL. What
Okay.
do I need to do to get it converted to something I can help you with?
Give me $100 and I'll take care of everything.
There you go.
No. Right now we're still in pandemic mode, and we're keeping the number of VEs to the minimum that we can. I expect that by midsummer or maybe Labor Day, we're going to be getting back to normal. And at that point, well, because you're not the only one. There's another gentleman that sent me mail that I have rudely not responded to. It's a lot simpler with the Laurel VEC. Basically, we require you to read the manual, as you might imagine. And then I put in your information, which is a nomination, and then they look at it at headquarters and they bless it, and then you'll get an email with your certificate in it. But really, we really want you to read the manual, because there are some subtle differences between our procedures and ARRL VEC procedures. But the bulk of it's the same, right? It's like, don't cheat on the test, don't let other people cheat on the test.
Sure.
The usual stuff. Yeah. So.
Okay, I'll look it up.
Yeah, shoot me an email, and I will try to respond to you and the other fellow who I've been rudely ignoring, and at least send you guys the links, and we'll get going that way. Because like I said, I think by the summer, or maybe by Labor Day, hopefully before then, we'll be getting back to normal sessions, and we'll need more VEs. I know we needed more VEs last month. It was crazy.
Sounded like it.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Very good. Any other questions for the VE team? All right, we'll move along. Mark Klein, would you give us a report from the technical committee and any information? I don't see Ed on here today. I know you visited with him about trustee stuff. So would you talk about the technical side and the trustee side, please?
I'll be happy to. Yes, Ed and I talked. Nothing really has good or bad over the last month, the last 30 days on the technical side of everything. We've got an issue we're working with the 8.8 machine. That's not this group, but the 8.8 audio is wacky. We're going to go look at that. And the only one thing that really got reworked was the Broadcastify, the radio reference piece during the Snowmageddon. It scrambled I guess it's used to be called a hard drive, but it's the SD-RAM chip on that little Raspberry Pi. So I rebuilt the thing with a brand new image, and it was 3 years since I last rebuilt it. been up and running about 5 to 6 years. So if you're listening on the web, you should have really great audio. It looks like they've cleaned up the audio a lot, and it's a whole lot easier to set up. And looks like it's a lot more stable. So we've got the 14706 machine coming on, broadcastified, loud and clear. It had been shut down for about a week and a half while I got that cut over on that side. Nothing really exciting to report.
No, I have
Very
a
good.
question, Mark.
Go ahead. I was just going to ask for questions. Go ahead, Wayne.
Sorry, Galen. So did you say you were working on the 8.8 machine, or you already worked on it and fixed it?
We need to yet. We have not done it. We've diagnosed that it has a problem, and that's it.
Okay. Any other comments or questions for the technical team? Very good. We'll move on to net reports. I haven't seen Jim James on here. Maybe is anybody have information on the 6-meter net? Hearing crickets. Reminder that typically is Monday night, 50.200 at 8 p.m. Denny, how's the gossip net going? Hello, Danny.
Hello. Here I are. Gossip Net. Every Tuesday evening about 8:30 after the Aries Net. Come join us. Tell us about your day, what's going on, and find out how many stitches or Band-Aids I had to use that week.
Yeah. All right. Bill Baker, 10-meter net.
Well, we have our 10-meter net on Wednesday nights, so I'd invite everybody that can to come and join in 8 p.m. Central Time on 28.445 upper sideband. Come and join us.
Very good. Thank you. Dr. Phil, the Aries net.
Good morning. Well, the Aries net is going on. The net control operators on Google Groups have been taking care of that in my absence. The Aries net happens at 8 p.m. every Tuesday evening on the SCARS repeater. In addition to that, the morning MACnet is still going on. Denny and Mike have been taking care of that while I've been gone. And ironically, the MACnet was something that we started for just a few weeks last spring of 2020, until the restaurants all opened back up. And here we are. Restaurants are still not open, and we're still running the MACnet. And let's see, the last I heard, we're running around 25 participants each morning on the MACnet. That happens on the SCARS repeater, 060 repeater at 9 a.m. each morning, Monday through Saturday, excluding days when we have a SCARS meeting. That's it.
Very good. Would you also just remind people the Aries net is a business net? It's it used to kind of be not a rag chew, but it was the substitute for a rag chew net. We now have the rag chew net, which as Denny said was the gossip net. Aries is business, and we're getting into the business time of year. So would you just very quickly brief us on how things operate during weather season?
That's right. The Aries net that happens on Tuesday evening is a training and preparedness drill for emergency net procedures. It is a roll call net, and the purpose of that net is to shake down equipment, to get people familiar with emergency net procedures, so that in such event that we do actually have some kind of an Aries activity like storm watch or whatever, people kind of know what to do. And so that net, as you say, is more of a business net. And during that net, we pass along areas and club information of interest to the club. So that's an important net to monitor because it will keep you up to date with the most recent club activities. It's probably the most current source of activities short of the daily, what do we call it? The newsletter that comes out every day. On the other hand, the morning net that happens, what we affectionately call the MAC net, is more of a rag chew net. People get on the air, they check in, they sign in. Like some of us, that gives us an excuse to get up, get out of bed, get a cup of coffee, and get our butt in here in the chair so that we can be awake for the day. And people seem to enjoy that. However, at the same time, there's a lot of rag chew that goes on, and there's some useful information that passes even on that little MACnet. And Denny and Mike have been doing an outstanding job on that. Did that answer what you wanted me to say?
Just a reminder that when does weather, if we have a weather event coming in, when does the net activate? How does it activate? That sort of thing. Actual operations.
Actual operation, the actual net. This is my understanding of it. When we need to have an actual Aries net, the first control operator on the air will serve as a temporary control operator until we get our Aries net control operator on board. And of course, everything during an actual net passes through the net control operator. So there shouldn't be any QSOs or conversation going on other than what's pertinent to that net. Procedures are on the SCARS webpage for that.
Okay.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, that's okay. Everybody just remember this, when we do come into weather season or heaven forbid, if we have some sort of other event that requires amateur radio emergency services, that's what Aries is for. So
I want to add one other little tidbit, and during an actual emergency alert, we as a club, the SCARS Club, are providing a service to the city of Moore, the city of Norman, and the other emergency managers around the region. So we need to do our diligence to provide them the best information that we can and to be as accurate on those nets as possible. That's it.
And while the information may funnel through the emergency managers and those programs, in reality, we on the amateur radio side are serving our community and our communities, not just the EMs. It's the people that live here and work here and play here and who might be passing through. So highly important. All right, let's move on. Peter.
Galen.
Yes, go ahead.
I have a question on that. Who has authority to call on that?
I don't know that we have any written guidelines on that, but
net controllers that need it. It's all on the Skywarn plan on the web, but it's the net controllers who are active at that time. So everybody's there, and if there's something there and it needs a net, you can start a net.
The way we've been operating, this may be wrong, okay? The way we've been operating is a little bit like a fire engine arriving on a fire. Is my understanding, the first captain there is in charge of everything until they have a battalion commander or something bigger come along. And same thing with us on nets. First guy on the radio would be the net controller, and that may change momentarily throughout the net.
But doesn't have to. So,
But doesn't have to.
You know, when the fire chief arrives on scene, we call that chaos. Chief has arrived on scene. Could I say that out loud? Hopefully I don't.
I'll never forget how to spell that word now.
Yep, there you go. All right. So enough of that. Just a reminder, you know, we all love to talk on the radio, and that's why we do this. But sometimes we do this for serious purposes too. We'll move right on. Peter Laws, SirenNet.
Push the button and then my voice comes through. Is my voice coming through?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Push to talk, receive to listen, or release to listen.
Release to listen, yeah. You can actually do that with your space bar. If the Zoom app has the focus, you can stay muted and hit the space bar as a PTT. But I digress. SirenNet every Saturday at noon, but not today. Both Norman and Moore are not blowing sirens. There'll be a net control on the air at noon to make that announcement for those that didn't see the email or that aren't here now. God, what is Denny doing? Jeez. Sorry. I'll close my eyes now. So SirenNet continues to go well. We continue to generate a lot of good data for the towns that we serve. Again, following on Phil's mention of public service and serving our served communities, making sure that the tornado sirens work, the outdoor warning sirens work is a good thing, and it allows them to target their repair dollars to where they're needed. We like to think we give better quality reports than Jane or Joe Public calling in saying, hey, my siren didn't go off. They'll probably get a bunch of those calls today because they really are not going to go off today. But we provide good intelligence for the cities. Again, as I've repeated numerous times, it's not our reporters don't say, I hear sirens. They say, I hear siren number 42 in Norman sounding, or I don't hear siren 42 in Norman sounding. So you've got to be able to identify your siren, whichever one you choose. And if it sounds good, we need to know that. If it doesn't sound good, we need to know that. Or if it's weird sounding, the Norman ones are all electronic. 90%, better than 90% of them sound for 60 seconds on a Saturday test. There are a few at public parks that only sound for 20 seconds. Up in Moore, there's a mix of electronic and electromechanical. So for the electromechanical ones, we need to know not only are they sounding, but are they also rotating? Because they do rotate, and sometimes they sound and do not rotate. I think so we gather all that information and forward it on to the cities. And if Mark's scrolling through the page there, if you go to w5nor.org/siren, you can read more than you ever wanted to know about the local sirens. There are maps there, and there are, if you dig enough, there are rosters that show which amateur station is covering which siren in which town. And if the one near your house is not spoken for, send us an email and we'll get you on that list. This is I would say a low skill volunteer opportunity. If your ears are working, and I don't wish to disparage anybody that has a hearing deficit, but if your ears are working, you are in good position to be a siren observer. So,
hey, Peter.
Sir.
This is Jeff. My video camera's not working right now, but this is actually my better side.
I'm not going to disagree.
Yeah. Did I hear some sirens on the west side of Norman yesterday, or were those out in Newcastle and I was hearing them, or did you get any reports on that?
I did not see anything about that. I don't think Mr. Grizzle is here today. He would know. I bet they were not ours. I know that Newcastle has had some system issues with their sirens.
Also right here in Southwest.
So
somebody has the siren net on Friday at noon.
Who
yes,
does?
Goldsby. Oh, that's right. Goldsby does their sirens on Friday still, which is, I mean, there's nothing illegal about that. It's just that's the day they choose. So maybe I wonder if that's maybe what you were hearing.
Wow. Yeah, it was carrying pretty well because I was outside and I heard it, and it kind of confused me because I hadn't, and I didn't get any subsequent emails or anything explaining it. So, but that explains it. But I was hearing them all the way at my house at 12th and Highway 9. So
now that I pay close attention to sirens more than I used to, boy, does the wind direction make a difference. Holy cow.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got one that's a half mile from my house, and it is super loud unless the wind is from the north. When the wind is from the north, it's like, is it going? I can't tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Wayne, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, if I might just add to what Peter said, we send out an email prior to the net every Saturday, and I've been sending it out at 10:30 to try to give people time to decide what they want to do and to let them know ahead of time. And I want to say thank you to everybody who participates in this, and we even have a gentleman that drives from Yukon to Norman to help us out. We appreciate that too.
And why doesn't he stop in Moore? It's closer.
I don't have an answer for that, sir, but what I wanted to add is if you are not getting those emails and if you're not on that email list,
yes,
then shoot off an email to w5nor@w5nor.org, and we will get you on that email list so that you'll have a heads up as to what's going on there. Other than that, thank everybody who participates. That's all I had.
And thank you, Wayne, for being net control today. We started up, I guess, about a year ago, maybe a little more than a year ago, probably more than a year ago. Both Wayne and Chad, KI5GT, are the other net controllers, and we swap off each week so that it's not one person. For a while there, it was one person every week, and he didn't mind doing it, but he needed to be spelled a bit. So my thanks to Wayne and Chad for stepping up. So.
And switching hats, let me, on behalf of the emergency managers, thank everybody for participating. You know, a lot of our sirens have electronic diagnostics on board, but sometimes those don't show an issue that might exist, and we've had that several times. That or maybe it's showing that we have an issue and we need to go out and check, you know, physically in person. Which we've done. I might add my electronic diagnostic showed my siren number 2 over last weekend all of a sudden dropped off the air. It wasn't talking to us, showing communications failure. I drove to the siren myself on, I don't know, Monday, Tuesday, whenever it was, and observed the coax hanging, dangling in the wind. The closer I got, I thought, well, okay, you know, coax is pulled out of the connector, no big deal. You put a new connector on it, put it back together. Silly me, the connector was still on the coax. It had just come unscrewed. I don't know whether the squirrels or the crows got it, but oddly enough, all we had to do was get the bucket truck out, screw it back in, and we had siren 2 back on the air. So again,
Mr. Grizzle had one vandalized, I think, recently.
He's had 2 vandalized.
Yep. So
people stealing batteries out of them.
Yep. So it's a good service that the membership provides. So
absolutely.
Thank you.
We are a service club in addition to being a social club. All right. Any other net information? I haven't seen Michelle, so I don't know. The YL net I know goes at some point.
DMR net.
Yep, DMRNet, go ahead. Somebody, Mark or whoever.
Lee, take it.
Lee, I'm sorry.
All righty. Every Monday night at 8:15 p.m., we have the statewide DMR net on talk group 3140. So if you have DMR capability, ask that you please join us 8:15 p.m. Monday night. So we always try to have an education session along with it. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry, I've got that added to my list now. So maybe we won't miss it next month. All right, we'll move on. Hank, very quickly, financial report, please.
That was quick.
Hank, your mic's not on.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir, go ahead.
All right. Since we're in the pandemic mode, we're not spending any money, so our bank account keeps growing slightly. Membership is holding up compared to last year. We've got a few members that still need to pay their dues, so we need to remind everybody that if they need to know that it's on the membership list is on the website, and if you're not on the list, you either haven't paid it or I haven't posted it yet. And I've got about 7 checks that came in the last 2 or 3 days that I haven't posted yet. But we probably got about 50 members that were members last year that haven't paid as of this time this month. So, but financially, we're doing good. And that's about all I can say. If you have any questions about the financials that are on the website, email me or call me. That's about it.
Hank. This is Jeff again. The black hole. I've got a friend up in Oklahoma City, W5CGP, and he paid his dues, I think in October of last year, and he was asking me, he paid the full amount, so he never was notified about anything being prorated or anything. I don't think he's on here anymore. So is there anything I can relay to him? He's still on the roster and everything, so he's a little confused about whether or not he's a member for this entire year or what.
He's on the roster. He's a current member, and generally, anybody that paid late in the year for their dues, especially new members, they got that year plus the next year. That's in the bylaws. So,
okay.
Yeah, but if anybody's got any question of whether they're a membership or not, or member or not, go to the website or have somebody that's a member go to the website and see if they're on it. Now, if they don't know the password to get to the website, then or the members list, then they will have a problem. So the best thing to do is to have them drop me an email and I will confirm it. But if they don't want to do that, they can find somebody to give them a password to get into the members list in the website. So,
and that email would be treasurer@w5nor.org.
That's correct.
He actually just now got added to the roster just a few days ago. So that's one of the reasons he was a little confused.
Okay. Well, if anybody's got any questions about membership, they can contact me through the SCARS website or me directly, and my personal email is on the SCARS website also. So
okay, thank you.
Anyway, yeah. So if you know anybody that hadn't paid their dues or doesn't know if they paid their dues, have them call me or just go to PayPal or send a check for the dues. More than anything else, it just gives us an idea of how many members we have that are active. Right now it's a little over 120, and I know last year we had quite a few more than that. So there's a few people that haven't paid, and that's okay. We just need them to catch up if they can. Thank you.
And as a reminder, our bylaws do state that any member not paying their dues by the March meeting will be dropped from the membership rolls. We were very lenient with that last year, as we should have, given the pandemic and the state of our community and the fact that we can't have real meetings, in-person meetings. We'll be lenient with it this year too, and the bylaws go on to state that once you pay your dues, you're reinstated, so it's no big deal. But we'd like to get everybody that wants to be a member of the club, we'd like to get their dues from them. So eventually we will have expenses again, and you know, we always could have expenses with the maintenance of our equipment and so on, the services that we provide. All right. One quick note off the executive committee. They did meet Wednesday night. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
It's Wayne. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just wanted to make one little quick addition to what I want to thank Hank for doing his hard work, what he's been doing. But I wanted to mention that the roster is updated once per month and uploaded to the website once per month. So if you have paid your dues, be a little patient. Eventually you'll get on the roster. I have had some, I have heard that some people say, well, I paid my dues last week, but I don't see it on the roster. That's why. So just be a little patient and it will eventually get up there. And that's all I wanted to say.
Thank you. And yes, Hank, thank you for your work. Your executive committee did meet Wednesday night, minus their slug president, who unfortunately was dealing with work issues and is continuing to deal with work issues. I don't know that I have anything to report. Wayne or somebody can pop in here as soon as I'm done. I will note that since last meeting, we did add one more at-large member to a vacant position. So Mike Richardson, K5SRJ, has been added as an executive committee member at large. And Wayne, do you have anything to add from Wednesday night's meeting? I'm sorry I didn't get to attend.
It's okay. We managed without you, just barely.
Probably better.
So it was pretty much status quo, but the one thing that I wanted to mention was, and it's interesting you mentioned Mike Richardson, wanted to thank him. He has taken on the responsibility to help us update some documents, some of them as far as the application for the club application and stuff like that. He's updating some of them with documentation with us, and he's working with I believe Mark and Hank to get all that stuff done. So other than that, it was pretty much BAU.
Very good. Thank you. The final thing I have on the today's agenda is a report on our projects and activities for our club. That mostly probably right now involves the planning for field day. And Mark, do you have any updates, Mr. Incident Commander?
I do, sir. Thank you very much.
Hank, you might want to mute.
Is that Hank? Okay, let me grab him here. Got him. I do. Field day this year is going to be at same bat station, same bat time. It is 4th weekend in June. We do Saturday, Sunday on a field day. What is field day? Field day is where we all get together normally in a non-pandemic situation and set up radios to work across the country. We're trying to contact as many stations as we can. It's a great place to learn. It's a great place to operate, hone your skills, learn new ones. We typically set up 3 radios, a data radio, a CW radio, and a sideband radio. We have all 3 of those stations covered at this time. The position will be at the Firehouse 7 with the Fire Training Center. And we are planning for a full event. We are not requiring that everybody come. So last year we did pretty much an invitation only on site. We had about 12 of us that ran the thing and got it all going. But this year we're planning to have more involvement. That may change as life moves on. Not sure which way, but our plan is to set it all up. We have portable tower trailers coming. We have portable generators, portable air conditioners. There's always a need for assistance. So if you're wanting to help get involved or help run the event, even if you got some organizational skills, love to have you come join the deal, or put that on your calendar for the 4th weekend in June. There'll be lots more on the web and newsletters. Our June meeting topic is going to be field day skills. So in addition to, we got a field day, we're going to talk about how to actually operate the radio during a field day. So you could maybe get practice on that when you go use your radio. Part 2 is ARRL has opened this up, so we will have stations at home. So if and I think we had 15 stations last year that operated from their own houses that gave their points to our group, to our effort. And you can operate from home. Only changes from last year on that is that if you're working from home, you must stay under 150 watts if you're talking to another home station. So you can't use your kilowatt station to talk to the kilowatt station across town that are both homeowners. So you got to keep 150 watt minimum, or maximum, not minimum, maximum power. That's the only change from last year. But if you're new, we'd love to have you. There's a get on the air thing that if you are truly new and you've never done it, that if you have not used HF radios and want to get involved with that, we can build an extra station for that kind of group. We'll teach you how to set it up. We can't operate it. Us experienced operators can't operate it. It's just for new people. So if we get some interest in that, we'd love to put one of those together. w5nor.org/FD, Fox Delta Field Day. Typically, we would have testing and fox hunts and stuff like that. We'll see how that all works out, but we're going to plan for it. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Let's make sure I'm on. Thank you, Mark. As Mark said, the plan is to have as much normal field day activities as possible, depending on how life is running at that time. So the planning is for the full event, and we'll scale it back as needed or make alterations as needed. I do have a question that popped up on the chat wanting to know about a spring picnic. The position of your club officers in relation to in-person activities are that at the moment we are trying not to have club sanctioned in-person activities because of the restrictions of our various communities in our state and our federal government. So at this point, there is no planning for a spring picnic that I'm aware of, and would not be a club sanctioned event if there was. As soon as we can get back to in-person activities, man, we're going to do it. That's what we do. So
question.
Yes, go ahead.
In the past, I'm going back to field day. In the past, we've done the fox hunt 2 or 3 years running in the past. Michelle owned the Fox Electronics, and I've not contacted her. I don't know where she is.
She's still around. She's still here.
She's still around. If the club wants to do a fox hunt on field day, they either need to contact Michelle for the fox, or we'll need to buy one.
Okay.
I think that we have discussed buying one for the club. They're not that expensive.
They're like $75 or something.
I'll talk to Michelle. I'll put that on my list. Thanks, Phil. I thought you had it.
Okay. Anything else concerning field day or club activities? Denny, your hand is up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I had noticed that on the club website for club activities, and it lists like the field day, the various meetings, winter field day and stuff like that. But it's all listed for 2022. There's nothing for this year that I saw.
Okay, we'll take a look at it.
Roll down and you'll see 21 stuff is at the end of the year. It goes by order. January 22 is the next winter field day.
Okie doke. I just didn't scroll long enough, I guess.
That's it. Too many events.
Sound bites. Am I still on?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I had some weird beeping in my ear that I wasn't sure what that was. Oh, okay. So it wasn't just me. Thank you. All right. One final thing. Does anybody have anything brand new equipment wise or operations wise or wanting to sell? What do you got? Nobody buying or selling? Nobody doing DX? Come on, somebody's got to.
I got a ham 4 or ham 3 rotor and controller that I'm going to get rid of.
Cool. Hey, I have a question for the group. If you were going to have a 50-foot tower erected by a firm, not us going out and gin pulling it, who are you going to use? Who's around? Who does that sort of thing?
Some of the
Galen.
commercial companies.
Yeah, but who?
Yeah, but who? That's the question.
Galen.
Whoever, go ahead.
This is Jeff. I'm sorry.
Oh, hi, Jeff.
No
It's the
video.
shadow.
No problem.
Chickasaw Personal Communications has a tower team. You just have to contact them and see if they, can fit something like that into their schedule. I know I retired from there in September, but at the time they were looking at about 6 commercial tower jobs. So I don't know for sure that they'd be available, but it would be worth, asking, because they do have the full tower team. And I don't know anybody who's not, anxious to pick up business when it's available.
Comment.
Is it theirs, or do they call somebody in?
Oh, no, it's the Chickasaw Personal Communications tower team.
Okay, go ahead, Dr. Phil.
Back when we did the antenna replacement project at the repeater site, we identified about 3 companies in Oklahoma City and 2 companies in the Tulsa area that were commercial tower companies that put up towers like for Motorola commercial towers and such. Yeah, I think those kind of companies are still around. You can hire them. Be prepared to pull out your checkbook.
Oh, I know.
Oh, yeah.
Who's got that list?
Oh, I think any list I had would be long gone now. You could probably search the web for those.
Rob Stoltz has got one. Rob's got a group that'll do that.
Rob's got a team. Okay.
Yeah. It's not his, but he works with people that do that.
The big thing is tower climbing authorization and insurance. And when those companies have to have all of that, then the price goes up.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you. So who else has bought anything new or has something for sale or has done some cool DX or patching or whatever?
How about welcoming new members?
Sure. Who do we have on that's new?
Raise your hand.
David Argo, are you still there? Well, I know of one new member, and that's David Argo.
Yes, I'm here. Hey, Lee. Hey, everybody. This is myself and Brenda. We're both new hams for about a week now. Anxious to get to see you guys person to person. I got a lot more questions than I can get off Zoom here. So
Tuesday nights, man.
Tuesday night.
All right.
Tuesday night. Come brother.
Okay. Well, we look forward to getting to know you guys. I haven't met a ham yet that I didn't like.
Oh, we'll get you some. We'll find you some.
Yeah, we'll find you. Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Both David and Brenda were part of our test session last week and subsequently got their test, got their license pretty quick, and they tore up that technician exam. They did great.
Thank you. Thanks.
We're ready for general, man.
Good deal. Do we have any other new folks on?
KI5GT
Can you guys hear me?
he's waving.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to introduce myself. My name's Bob Meyer, and I live in Broken Arrow, but we're building a house here in Norman and moving in closer to our daughter that's lived here for a number of years. So I wanted to get connected up with the club. It'll probably be a year or so before we actually get moved over here. But I just wanted to drop in and say hi.
Welcome. Moore's better than Norman.
Well, I don't know that I could get my daughter to move to Norman or to Moore. So, you know, that's why we're moving here, is to be close to daughter, son-in-law, 4 grandkids. So we're going to
now we're
get
getting to the
engaged
real.
and do a lot of shuttling, I think. So it'll be fun.
Has nothing to do with your kids. It's the grandkids.
Yeah,
You
so
guys
now we're getting to the
understand.
real
Exactly
root, the
correct.
grandkids. Yeah.
Bob,
Very
Tuesday
good.
night,
Welcome, Bob.
Welcome, Bob.
Well,
Tuesday
thank you.
night
Thank you
Elmer
very
nights.
much.
Get ready to get involved.
Yeah, Elmer nights on Tuesdays. That's the hangout.
Right here.
Yeah, I'll try to get involved in that.
Same channel.
Same Zoom channel.
All right.
Very
Well, thanks
good.
again.
Thank
Going
you.
back to the sale thing, I've mentioned this at the Elmer night, but the Derby Radio Shack's having their annual sidewalk sale on the 19th of June. If anybody's interested in going up for that, he was up there the other day, and he's planning on doing it again this year. So,
Candy store.
yeah, a lot of clocks.
They're also,
Yes.
also
I think
having the
there's one of them.
tailgate.
Yeah.
Having the tailgate up in Edmond at the regular location next Saturday, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is next Saturday.
If anybody's really in need, I actually may be headed by the Derby store this next week sometime. So
Well, I was up there the other day. He only had like 3 clocks, but he said by the he's planning on having 50 by the time the sidewalk sale.
He really won't know what time it is.
No, crazy trying to set them all.
A lot of those are he gets. There's another company around the corner there from him that builds those. I've got one in my EOC that I've had since we built the place, and but I think he gets their surplus stuff. So very good, very good equipment.
Yeah.
So, all right. Anybody else? Anything for the good of the organization? Glad to see Phil back.
Thank you.
And haven't got reports on anybody else, so hopefully everybody's doing well. All right. Anybody with
actually, speaking of health and welfare, Michael Wilson, WB7EOI, who lives out here near me, and was the active reporter on Siren 54, had a stroke of some sort back in the fall, which is why he kind of fell off the net. And he's I guess he's okay, but that's why we haven't heard him on the Siren net. So I did want to acknowledge him. And he was our most reliable reporter in, what year is this? 2019. Yeah, because I had the certificate made up for him at the beginning of 2020, but he wasn't at the meeting and it all fell apart shortly thereafter. But yeah, so anyway, that's all I had.
Very good.
Has anybody heard from Gordon Jones?
Yes. I've spent 3 weeks with him. He
Last
is
Tuesday.
Yeah. No, that he has moved into town. He is currently at about 12th and Lindsay, or 24th and Lindsay, somewhere in there. Savannah Heights or Savannah Ridge. Him and Janet moved into that place in November. He has closed, actually sold his house, his land last Monday, I think, is when closing was. And he is doing well. He is the knees are still not giving him any traction, so he is running around in a wheelchair. He is just the same way he has always been, which is, for those of you that know him, which means he seems crazy, but that's that's the way he is, and he is still that way. We're looking to do something to move them into a different location Michael Salem and I are working on a project to move that into a permanent location and get him down, tied down a little bit better. But he is doing well. If you have his number, feel free to call him. He would love to hear from you. If you don't have his number, feel free to call me or email me, and I will get you that information if you want to visit with him. But he is doing well, with the exception of mobility.
Very good. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Drew, why are you still here and not chasing Lubbock?
Unfortunately, my chase vehicle is in process of repairs at the moment.
Oh no!
All right.
So I will be now casting here at home after I make my repairs.
I'll say living vicariously through other people.
Pretty much, yeah.
All right. Everybody, have a good day, have a good week, and we'll see you next month.
Dude, thanks.
Tuesday night.
Tune up and get on the air.
As a side note, just got a message. One of our guys that was watching the presentation was from Puerto Rico.
Yes.
NP3 Fox Sugar. So I guess found our presentation and jumped in. So
he's
Hey, Mark.
he's deals with the he's an emergency manager type and
you know him?
No, he sent me a message as well. He's the says he served as 156 wing land /RF manager, also unit emergency manager representative, and he's kind of playing with us at the moment because he's got some personnel temporarily deployed at Altus Air Force Base.
Yep.
So if he's still on, welcome. Thank you.
Nope, he went to go get a lunch a while back, so he's eating a sandwich.
Hopefully I can drive some views towards the presentation too. I'm going to share it over on StormTrack.
Okay, I'll get you a link. Let me get you when Zoom does its little thing, I've got a link of just that presentation, and I'll send that to you. It'll be on the front page of the website, but I'll send it to you directly.
Perfect. Yeah, I'm a staff member over on StormTrack, so.
Okay.
I'll throw that over there and try to, because I'm sure a lot of the Chase community will like to see that.
Yeah, I've just carved the presentation out, so we'll put that chunk on there.
Perfect.
And, that should be good. Very good.
So, hey, Mark, I just wanted to give you a quick update. I tried to go up to the Weather Center today so I could get on up there and work the Oklahoma QSO, and they won't let me in on the weekends because